Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Susanne, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here. I am here today with Indira.
Yes.
And Kaila from Confluence Ballet. This is an impromptu meeting. It is like 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. And we said we're just going to record an episode because we're going to talk about your upcoming show. We're going to talk about the company, about your mission that is so beautiful, and how everybody in this company is creating this unbelievable new concept. So let's start with, why don't you guys start introducing yourself and what you're doing in the company?
Okay, well, my name is Indira. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, so almost 20 years now. The road to me getting to Confluence was wrought with a lot of hardships and, just discrimination that I really was beat down by in the ballet world, and Confluence gave me an opportunity to really flourish in their mission of diversity and equity and inclusivity. And that is what drew me to the company. And I've really found that I was able to grow a lot here, even in the 6 months that I've been here, because the mission is really being upheld in the way that we're treated and the way that we run our company to the day-to-day basis.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Kaila. Very similarly, I've been dancing for about forever, just like everyone typically says once they get to this point in their career. And my road to getting here, it's been a lot. Dancers, they face a lot of things. They have a lot of people talking at them all the time and not always to them. And, you get used to that. And so when I read what this company was going to be about, when I saw their mission, I was like, that really speaks to me. I've never had an experience like that as a dancer. I need to be a part of that if they'll have me. And being here, I've seen them uphold those values. It's been such a safe space to explore my technique and my artistry. I'm honestly just so lucky to be involved. I'm glad that everyone is kind of doing their part and pulling the weight of holding each other accountable and making sure that we're actually creating the space that we said we were going to create for dancers, no matter, who they are, what they look like, everything under the sun. We're doing that. And I'm just really happy to be here. And that's how I, even got involved with Confluence in the first place.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Let's talk about the mission, because, I see not a lot, but I do see that, we're putting out the trend of inclusion, or the trend of whatever the buzzword is nowadays. And we put it into the top line of our company, and then nobody is following through what that actually really truly means. And that's why I'm so thrilled that actually the values are implemented and followed through. So let's talk about the mission and the values of the company. What is that?
Our mission is diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And I think that what you said is such a huge point. A sociology background person, that's what I got my degree in. that's something that I studied heavily, and I really focused on how that's prevalent in the arts, specifically with my capstone, because a lot of companies, like you said, they'll put it in their mission, and then you see no diversity in their company of 100 dancers, and you'll see no faces of color, not just Black people, like no faces of color at all. So when we saw Confluence and what they were trying to do, we really felt like it was important to be a part of this mission and get in on the ground floor and build something truly special in the dance world and in the ballet world specifically.
Mm-hmm. And not even just speaking of racial diversity, because in ballet, it's really difficult to find body diversity as well.
Absolutely.
You'll be hard pressed to find a company that doesn't have everyone on stage looking exactly the same. And that's damaging in its own way. And I don't think a lot of people really realize how damaging it can be when you're sitting in the audience and every single person you're looking at is nothing like you when this is what you want to do with your life. And that's what we're trying to eliminate, really. We're just trying to make sure that our performances are a safe space for us as dancers, but also the people that come to see us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm a product of that, by the way. Now, Russian base, that was the school. We all had to look the same. We had to, gosh, I have been told the first 5 years of my training in that school that I'm never going to make it because my hips are too wide.
Wow.
So didn't fit in that container, the woman in a body of a man that has no hips or breasts for that matter.
Or anything.
Or anything, really, feelings or heart or whatever that needs to be. I know it's silly, right? But we're jokingly talk about this. The truth is, though, that even though it's not being said out loud, it's what is wanted. It's not put in words, but it's acted upon it. Right. So, and the more and more we really talk about it and actually bringing together companies that are embodying the true value that shows that it's possible. It's no longer just talk. It's no longer just a theory, it's right here. We are right here, and you no longer have an excuse not to.
Absolutely. I love what you said about not having an excuse. I think that what Confluence is doing is really important because it's like you're saying, it's going to show companies like we're doing it. So you can't say that you can't do it. Like it's being done.
And it's being done well. You can't say that because you don't look a certain way that you don't have what it takes to be a technically sound and proficient dancer.
Mm-hmm.
It gets rid of all of that.
Oh my goodness, ladies, you are so powerful. I love it. This is so good. Okay, now let's talk about Indira. You're a development associate in a company as well as a dancer, which
yes.
The whole company is set up that way, as in people that have certain academic skills are also invited, encouraged to participate on having the company help run on the business side. So let's talk about that, because is one of the most beautiful concepts. I truly believe that can create way more than other concept that we're seeing in the performing arts, how companies are set up. So what does a development manager, what associate do?
So as the development associate, I'm really looking for how I can expand our company. So that includes looking for performance opportunities, applying to those things, looking for opportunities for funding, opportunities for partnerships between organizations, outreach even. Sometimes we work closely with our outreach people in the company to facilitate with schools. We've worked with the Children's Museum, the National Aviary. We worked with Baron Batch. He's a local artist in the area, looking at some festivals in the summer, stuff like that, as well as garnering sponsorship from companies like Freed, Suffolk to get point shoes for our dancers and stuff like that.
We're talking about sponsorships. Let's go there a little bit. What does that look like?
So for sponsorships, companies, for example, Freed and Suffolk have donated shoes to our company. And then because we are a 501c3 organization, they do get a tax write-off for the amount that the shoes are valued at. So any other companies, dance companies, dance wear companies that we're looking to work with, that same thing would apply as a nonprofit. They do get a tax break for donating to the company. And then, of course, our dancers get the shoes that they need to do what we love to do.
I have a few more. Oh, so what was that, Kayla?
We just for people who are not companies and may want to, I don't know, be more involved with what we're doing, you can also sponsor one of our amazing dancers. We're always in there working super hard. Everyone's really talented and good at what they do. So if you're interested, that is also an option, but that's on like a smaller scale.
Yeah, I think it's important to promote that though, because people that may not even be in the Pittsburgh area, if you see a dancer and you read their story and that really speaks to you, like you could be on the West Coast and it might be a few months before you ever get to see Confluence perform, but you could sponsor them and just, be like, this mission speaks to me. I want to help this company out.
Yeah.
Very nice. I want to take that conversation here. So the current business model of performing arts organizations, ballet companies, whichever topic or genre you're showing in the performing arts, they're set up that they're only serving their community in their vicinity, like their local vicinity, which is one of the downfalls. That's why it makes it so hard to get sponsors or fundraising or even people into the show. So this is why I really appreciate it, and I want to really call that out, that you said that the company itself is available for viewing in perhaps other ways that we'll be exploring sooner than later, to be available not only to the Pittsburgh area, but international, because your concept needs to be known and heard and duplicated around the world. And that's why I think it is so important that more and more people actually are getting involved into the solution of the problem that we've been talking about for so long.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think for all of us in the company, I think it's really important to us that this is not an isolated ballet company experience. And we don't just want to lead by example for the Pittsburgh area. We're trying to lead by example for the entire dance community, honestly, because it could use some revamping. Yeah. Not to say that everything has been done incorrectly, but there are definitely some things that should be put in place so that your dancers know you value them as people, instead of the saying like everyone's replaceable.
More than a commodity.
Everyone is coming in and dedicating their life to this art form. They deserve some type of respect, bare minimum.
Food for the stars. So here's the problem that I have with this. The belief that artists have to suffer for their craft, or that they're seen as less than in the community, or from an economic standpoint, the starving artist mentality has been pounded over and over and over again. And that's the belief system around has created that industry. When you said in the beginning, Kayla, that people are talking to the dancers, at the dancers, and not with the dancers. Mm-hmm. I think that was a very profound analysis around what we're really seeing in companies and even schools nowadays. And that was the same thing when I was going through school in the 80s and 90s. And that we're still seeing those same problems arise shows me that we have not had the courage to evolve at all.
I agree. And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I just think a big part of that is sometimes when people are treated that way, when they are coming up, when they are older, they're like, this is the only way that you will ever be successful because this is how I was taught. When you have to work on that hurt that you went through and you have to find a way to circumnavigate it and find a better way to teach the youth. They should not have to have the exact same trauma that you did in order to be successful. You have to invent a new way of teaching. It just has to happen that way.
I'm just going to go back to this and listen one more time to this very profound moment here. Yeah, it's the truth, right? Because we think this is the only way. That was the way we've been taught. So we're just going to perpetually teach the same methods. is where we went wrong. Somebody said today, when we are marketing what has been proven to work, we're standing still. Meaning that when we're just keep doing the same thing over and over again and, hoping for different outcomes in what way and whatever vicinity that maybe is, we're dead. And I feel that if the performing arts is not opening their eyes and stepping into the 21st century, there will be a point where they're not being relevant anymore,
Absolutely. I think a lot of that also is like what you were saying earlier. The arts, I feel like, are undervalued a lot in society, but then people will want to go out to a show when they want to do something nice and have a nice experience, but people don't really pay attention to artists outside of that. And so we don't get the funding that we need to produce what we want to do or to even exist and live, like have a nice quality of life.
Yeah.
And to do work for the same amount of hours in a day.
Right.
We work the same amount of hours.
Can we pick that apart? Because it is such an interesting, that's my jam. So when we're saying the arts is not being valued, right? Like that's a very solid and true statement. And I also want to add, we're not valuing them the way we should be valuing them because the arts themselves, the companies are not valuing themselves. They do not see themselves as adding value to the community. They're chasing funding. They're chasing getting butts in the seats. They're chasing, people coming or giving them sponsorship or. So we have created this chasing cycle where we've forgotten why we're here. Like when you look around in companies and look at their values, their core values, their mission statements. Are they actually really truly living them? Do they know who their ideal audience is? Do they know what their current business is and how they're going to plan, or are they building their future business? Or is every ballet company on the planet doing the same Romeo and Juliet, Sleeping Beauty, Nutcracker run every single year?
Ooh. It's definitely that. And they do that because they know that I think a lot of the time, going to see a live dance performance, specifically when it's ballet, is intimidating for a lot of communities, especially lower income communities, because they don't feel like they fit into that scene. And so they aren't really doing the work that they need to do. Like if they did the work that they needed to do to access communities that were not already affluent, they would get the money or the funding or whatever that they're chasing after so badly. Like they would
make the money, Kaila. Yeah. They would actually make it. They would not need to be a non-for-profit.
If they actually supplied the need for arts and communities that don't have access to them.
Exactly.
And that's what's different about Confluence. Like we took our Nutcracker all over Pittsburgh, South Side, West End. We took it to the mall at Robinson. We were there all day. We did 3 shows. I mean, probably over 1,000 people that wouldn't have been exposed to ballet got exposed to ballet that day, even if it was just walking by and they turned their head and they saw a girl in a tutu doing bourrées in the middle of the mall. Like they wouldn't have ever seen ballet that day if we weren't there. We're trying to bring it to our community and really get them involved with what we're doing.
I think that's the difference, and that's the part that's missing. That chasing an audience is a different energy, and you take different actions than when you're truly building a community. The community is what is going to come and help you when you can't help yourself. A community is there to lift you up and to promote you. A community is there to make the impossible possible. An audience never, ever is going to have that buy-in for you. And that's the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Agreed.
So
yes.
Hard. Yes, it's so hard because because everyone's like, oh, you dance, and they imagine they're like, I can also dance, so why should I go see that? And then they go and they're like, oh no, I cannot do that. I understand completely why I paid however much money I paid for this ticket. So you just have to let them know, like, this is something different. This is not your, oh, I'm going out, let me do a little 2-step, like this is my comfort zone. It's not that. Like when you go and you see a performance, like those people on stage, they worked so hard for that. to make whatever experience you're now having and enjoying, to make that real for you, they've worked really hard. So whatever you're imagining, double that. And that's probably what they did.
The truth.
Yeah.
Hey, let's pivot and let's talk about your upcoming show. So that is on March 5th. I'm going to let you do the talking because you're more into this.
So our show is on March 5th at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater. We have 2 shows, one at 2:30 and one at 7 p.m. Tickets can be purchased on the Kelly Strayhorn Theater website. We're doing our sales through their box office, and our COVID policies are also on our website, and they should be beneath our listing on the Kelly Strayhorn website as well.
Wonderful. How else can people support you? Like where can we find you on the World Wide Web?
Our website is confluenceballet.org, and our Instagram is Confluence Ballet. Also, we're on Facebook at Confluence Ballet Company, and we're on TikTok if you have TikTok.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Awesome. So let's say a person is coming to the show and we're really grateful that they have come there. What else will we ask them to do to maybe spread it to their network to come check you out on March 5th?
Post on their story, post
Tag
like,
us,
hey, we're at the ballet, we'll share your stuff. Definitely support the boutique. We'll have art by one of our dancers, Sage Felgis. She creates original artwork of dancers, and she's done many portraits inspired by dancers in the company, actually. So those will be for sale. Hand-painted point shoes will be for sale at the boutique, painted by our dancers. Other things in the boutique, Yeah, you can just talk about it, share it. Tell us how much you loved it.
Feel free to write, laugh. Tell all your friends, tell everyone.
Follow us, like our stuff on social media. That really helps with engagement as well. We're trying to grow our pages and grow our community.
You can even follow individual dancers if you have a favorite and you want to see what they're up to when they're not specifically working on Confluence things.
Or sponsor a dancer.
Yep.
And may I say, you all are really good in actually responding to any kind of interaction on the Confluence page. I checked them out, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yes, we will give your words to Claire. She's excellent. She does a great job.
And I think, and I brought this up because I see it over and over again, that so many performing artists post because they want to be seen and not helping other people to be seen as well. And I think that is the importance here when we're talking about, social media is a great tool, but let's not forget what the core actually is and how we can help each other and support each other by using this tool, right? And that means on both sides, not just leaving a heart, but actually commenting and maybe sharing, and if that's what your heart desires, and really give a shout out and a support, because that's how this mission goes further and further and further. Now, before we finish today, what's your personal vision for this? Like if you would be running the company, I like to play something that's called Brilliant ID Time. Let's go there. Let's just playful out. What's your vision? Like from your heart, from your soul, whatever comes up. There's no judgment here. I find it so interesting because the best things come out of these kind of questions when we're confronted. It's like, what are you saying?
I feel like my vision for Confluence would be for it to grow even further into its mission statement. Like obviously we're at the start of our journey. So really having us just commit even more so to the point where other companies really genuinely will not be able to say it's impossible, and to have us be like at a recognizable level around the world. And when people hear our name, they're like, oh, that's the ballet company that started, breaking down all these barriers and breaking down all these walls. Hopefully we will have an academy sometime in the future where we're raising up the next generation of dancers to have healthy mindsets about, pursuing this career, and that are comfortable with themselves and comfortable in loving this art form and not feeling like they're sacrificing every single, shred that they have to themselves in order to pursue this. I think that would be my vision.
Love it. Okay, universe, I hope you heard that. Indira, what about you, baby?
Everything Kayla just said, I would love for us to be able to take our art to more communities. So I was thinking more like, what the company would look like in terms of our season. And I would love that we be able to have like a home season and then have a touring season so that we could really be taking our mission to communities that haven't seen a company like this before, have so much diversity in race, body type, every aspect of diversity is going to be represented on that stage. And I think that's going to be a very powerful thing to show people, and it needs to expand past Pittsburgh. Like, we need to take it everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think there are borders when it comes to that. No city borders, no state borders, no country borders, no oceans could keep that mission from spreading quicker than you can say, I don't know, Confluence Ballet. There we go. That was really cheesy. Right. So I usually ask the question at the end, what would you tell your 16-year-old self? Now for you two, that wasn't really long ago. However, let's go there though. From where you are today and your 16-year-old self would actually listen to you, what would you tell?
Wow. You say it's not that long ago, but honestly, when I think about how much I've changed since I was 16, it feels like a lifetime ago. First of all, I would say calm down. It's really going to be okay. Anybody who knows me knows I'm literally a ball of walking stress. So I'd be like, maybe you should calm down. I would say stop hiding. Like, I spent so many years just trying to hide and like being so ashamed of who I was. Like, I look back on those years and it makes me sad. It breaks my heart because I knew how miserable I was and I couldn't figure out why I was so miserable, because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. I was wearing tights that didn't match my skin tone. I was upset that my body didn't look like the girls in the room that were getting cast. I was told that I was never going to be good enough to be on stage. And I just I was in such a bad, dark place, like, for several years. And, I would say keep going, of course, because back then I had a mind to keep going, but I didn't know if I would be able to. I mean, it's hard to keep pushing when people are being so horrible to you all the time in the dance world, but I'm glad that I did. And you're going to make it. That's what I would say. Other people's projections of you are not reality, and you need to let that go. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I would say, firstly, I think that I would say you're doing better than you think you are. You don't need to be so worried that you're not keeping up with everyone else around you. And I think that I would also give her the advice to learn how to pick apart when people are saying things that are important and when people are saying things that you do not need to remember the next day or any day after it. Because, I'm sure everyone around like our age and up has had people in class and probably outside of class too pull them aside and say some things that are hurtful, that are untrue, that are unhelpful, that don't even really count as corrections because there's nothing you can do to fix that. And you got to be able to pick out what they said, like point your foot, okay, heard you, or your foot is not good for ballet, I'm gonna discard that. That was just an example. This is not like a person or anything. Just being able to differentiate between, okay, that was useful information and that was not, and trying not to let any of that be taken to heart. Obviously easier said than done, but if I was talking to her, that's what I would say.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. That was very beautiful. I'm glad I asked that question. Yeah. Well, it's because it's so important, right? And I think, Kayla, when you're saying that, differentiate useful and hurtful information from each other, we're so vulnerable, particularly in the studio, where we're so open that everything really truly just comes in. And we have then later in life the task to reparent ourselves or to, pick apart what is ours and what isn't. And the earlier I feel you learn that ability in life, the easier it will become. Not that life is going to be without obstacles. It's just you'll be able to jump over these obstacles a little bit easier.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, my dears, that was a delightful conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Just in case you haven't heard, there's a show coming up on March 5th in Pittsburgh. You need to go there and check out this beautiful mission that this company is really putting together and showing the world how it's done, really, truly. So thank you for being here, guys. And we are sending you so much love. Share this podcast, share a quote. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, go and see the show. That's what I've got for you. Okay. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.